What's up, everybody? We are back. Amanda, guess what?
What?
It's week 30, show episode 30.
That's crazy.
I'm looking at my list. Week 30 rundown, and we are ready to... I'm Billy, by the way.
And I'm Amanda.
And we will be doing some... what?
Goalpost moving. Maybe.
We'll be doing some goalpost moving.
Goalpost shifting around. We'll see.
You're gonna have to check your Twitter later, unless I don't know if you've done it yet. But for our little moving goalpost at the end, should be a fun one. We've had some banter this week. People were back and forth in the mentions too. People were chirping this week, so there were some fun topics. But we're in off season. We're in basketball season. Recruiting portal is closed, and we got our sponsor, La Casa Tequila, to talk about. Proud sponsor. Your La Casa, actually, Amanda, is in my car, so I won't be doing my shot yet this week. I don't want to open one of your bottles, but...
I feel like you're just kicking that. You're moving the goalpost on your shot every single week.
Do you want to put a stipulation that if I don't do it by a certain point, I've got to do it like a beginning of show and end of show one? Would that be... Do you think
Maybe.
That would get... I mean, what just happened, Amanda? Don't you tell us.
I have no... I just started hearing the strangest noise. Nacho sprinted off the sofa. I guess I had elephants that moved in upstairs, which my apartment is made of cement. Like, the building is really old. It's made of cement. So, like, noise doesn't happen. We don't normally hear our neighbors. So there had to be something going on. I have no idea. It was like a repeated, banging of a table on the ground. I don't know.
I have a feeling, folks, if you see Amanda's eyes start rolling during the show, it's not... For once, it will not be at me. It's going to be like looking off into the distance to see what's happening to her ceiling. So just a little fair warning.
No, I mean, I had some great upstairs neighbors at my last apartment complex, but their move was more of playing screeching noises at 3 a.m. music-wise at 3 a.m., throwing parties at 3 a.m. on like Wednesday nights.
Wow.
Or playing the piano at all hours of the night. And there were multiple times that I had to go upstairs and rectify that situation face to face. So,
the one last thing you want to see at 3 a.m. is Amanda at your door banging.
Karen
Atwell is not going to be who you want to run into.
I mean, I am pretty lenient on, like, you live in an apartment, you're going to have noises from your neighbors, but 3 a.m. piano playing is where I draw the line.
I was about to say, I've had some roommates that, when we've been evicted from places in college, we've been pretty bad with, like, the parties and the destructive nature when you live with, like, all football people in the, late 90s. It was a Animal House type thing, but I can assure you, no one ever
been evicted.
No one ever complained about us playing the piano.
Yeah, I've never been evicted. I've never had a noise complaint against me in an apartment complex, so I feel like I'm a pretty good neighbor. But yeah,
I'm a good neighbor now. I've evolved.
I prefer the face-to-face route. Like, I would rather go upstairs and knock on the door and, like, ask you to turn it down than go complain to the apartment complex. That's the Karen thing, to go repeatedly. Like, I will go and show you my face because maybe if you meet your neighbor, you won't want to disturb them. So,
well, you know what you could do? You could bring them a bottle of La Casa and say,
they're not getting a bottle of La Casa.
Be like,
that's a little
folks,
for me.
if you quiet down, this is waiting for you. If you're quiet for the next hour, I'll bring you this bottle back. Because they would love it, because everyone loves La Casa tequila, including us too. And we're restocking you this week, so next week we could see that back there behind you. And
we only got one bottle right there right now.
Got it.
We've represented.
We've got it coming, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of antics y'all get into once you start tapping into that. And it's still that time of year. And
yes.
By the way,
it's always La Casa time of year.
Well, and it's about to be real quick, like patio margarita season, whether it be at home.
Highs in 70 in Dallas this weekend. We will be enjoying some things on our patio.
It's absolutely crazy how this weather has gone this week. So anyway, let's dive into not so crazy in the portal. I think we're kind of almost closing the book on it. For A&M, I will tell you they have closed the book. I don't think they have any, from talking to people, I don't think they have any intention of any roster additions that, we understand the never say never thing, but outside of that, I'm not expecting anything. And since our last show, Texas, there was just one move that, well, I guess there were two, actually. You guys picked up a receiver from Wake Forest, an offensive lineman from Western Kentucky. I'm particularly interested in the O-lineman because there's eligibility. I guess he's fighting for an extra year. If he gets that, could be a nice addition at a need position, right?
Yeah, I don't think Texas would have gone in on this player had they not had to think they have a very good shot at him getting that final year. And it does add some very necessary depth to the offensive line, which was the main position group. I feel like a lot of Texas fans were frustrated with how it went in the portal because, I mean, you did make some solid additions, but at the same time, there's that PTSD from last season of not only not having the depth you needed, but just not having a good front line sorted out at all. Just major holes and major miscalculations on the quality of coverage there. So hopefully Texas improves in that category this year, has a little bit of a lesson learned from that last season, which you are returning more in the way of starters. So that part, I think there's not as big of a discrepancy there. It's a big difference when you're returning 3 starters versus 1. And then adding a couple of players. The biggest thing was adding players with solid experience under their belt, which I think they did a good job of. Now, I will say I wish there were 1 or 2 others added in the portal pickups just for depth purposes, even if you don't see them starting immediately or really ever, just depth purposes, because you need that in the SEC.
I think it's an interesting thing that you say there. I'm kind of more I've kind of shifted in the mode of if I'm recruiting more, I'm trying to push other people down the depth chart and find people to go towards the top of it from the standpoint of I've watched A&M do it, and it hasn't, like, signing players for depth. You get so kind of robbed in the portal.
But you only have so much in the way of budget.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're going to have to take some players that are going to be more.
You're hitting my point. You only have so much in the budget for your 85, for all your roster. So you've got to be careful signing for depth and going and getting them, because by nature you kind of overpay when you're paying to pull people into your program versus, let's say, and I'm thinking of a young Texas offensive lineman, say that's in year 2. For A&M, that would be, they had several guys that were in year 2 and a couple that are in year 3. It's so much cheaper to keep than to attain. That what you really want to do is trust in your coaching and development. That, we might not be able to keep them again next year, but if we can keep them this year, there's your depth if they're not quite yet ready to start, versus going out and overpaying in the portal, because you are, like you said, you do have a limit on how many of these big guns you can go out and get, not just at O-line, but at every position. So when you can free up money somewhere, I think you do free it up by kind of keeping your players versus going out and trying to get ones that are already on the open market. So to me, for O-line, my question for Texas and A&M would be, how well have they recruited the last 2 years in the high school ranks? Because hopefully
I gotta cut you off real quick, because like the what you're explaining is exactly what Texas did last year. With their O-line.
That's not what I'm explaining.
They trusted in the recruiting.
That's not what I'm explaining.
They trusted in the recruiting, and they didn't hit the portal hard on the O-line.
Now I'm going to cut you off, double cut off, because that's not what I'm explaining.
Okay, then what are you saying? Because that's what it sounded like you were saying.
I'm saying you're talking about for depth. What you're talking about that Texas did last year was trusted those guys to start for them.
They also trusted in the depth. They didn't go heavy in the portal at all.
But it wasn't. I don't think it was their depth that killed them up front. It was they trusted the wrong guys and they didn't go in the portal. And I think if you look at Texas this year, they learned their lesson. And I think A&M kind of saw that too and said, "Hey, we better not just trust our depth this year." So I think both teams this year are saying, "We're going to go find starters, and if these depth guys are better, then great. But we got young guys on campus that can make up the depth." Like, I don't think you guys or A&M.
Okay, Texas also picked up starters in the portal
this year. Yeah.
They had to pick up starters in the portal. What you're saying is acting like they're not.
No. That's not what I'm saying. And you made it sound like I was going. No, not at all. Like I'm saying, they picked up starters in the portal, A&M and Texas. Last year, Texas didn't. They relied on that depth to start. That's not what I'm saying anybody should do. I'm actually saying both
You
teams.
said that you wanted to rely on your depth.
I think if you go back and listen to this one, you're going to realize that that's not what I was. The depth, what I'm saying.
I don't think you explained it very well.
I think you didn't hear it well.
I think you got lost in your word salad where you just keep talking and talking. And then like the point is like, what even was
I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It
does. That's why I had to cut you off because we're going on like 45 seconds and I forgot what you initially were trying to.
That's what happened.
The point you were trying to make.
You just said what happened. You lost track of the point. My whole point was,
yeah,
I think.
Okay, that's why you need to be more concise.
Then listen. Here it is. I think your depth in 2025, 2026, today's college football, your depth on the O-line is what you have on campus. And when you lose a bunch of dudes, you need to go recruit starters. There's my point.
Okay.
And that's what Texas and A&M are doing right now.
Okay, there you go. See how much better it is when you just say it in like 30 seconds and like lean into that point instead of just no.
I'm going to get a timer, and you better not
You should get a timer because
for
guess
you.
what? That's what
for you.
No, for you.
You better not do anything over 30 seconds today.
You know what? I
have
a timer on my phone.
Okay. Here we go. Let's do a quick round right here. Post-portal. We talked about this a minute ago before the show. Now that the rosters are all but set, right, we're going to rank our top 3 positions for each team. You for the Longhorns, me for the Aggies. What positions do you feel best about? 3 to 1, third highest to best. So do you want to start or do you want me to?
I'll start. I mean, I think Texas is pretty obvious as far as portal additions go because you can see where their focus was. The wide receiver room was the biggest point of focus. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you added even some late additions there for depth purposes.
Yeah.
Second, I would say running back room, and that's kind of completely reworked and still a lot of unknowns in that category, but I think you added a lot of good quality talent that can make immediate impact. And then third, defense. I mean, you could go with a lot of the secondary should be much improved from last year, even looking at who you were losing. So
yeah. Running back room, y'all added the Big 12 and ACC leading rusher. Wide receiver goes without saying. We talked Cam Coleman. We talked about the late addition from Wake, and then Wingo and everything you've got coming back. I think Lockett could be a breakout player.
I think Lockett will be fun to watch.
Yeah, it could be a breakout guy for you guys this year. And you mentioned that secondary. I think the secondary is loaded. Last year at this time, one of my concerns for that Texas secondary was losing the Thorpe Award winner and Jahdae Barron, and then I thought Andrew Makuba, who I think started in the NFL this year as a rookie before getting hurt. I thought they were going to be difficult to replace at that same level. Interestingly enough, this year you're going to lose a high-round draft pick in Muhammad and an all-SEC player in Michael Taft and, 3-year starter. But I agree with you. I think that secondary, there's just too much talent there. There's so much of it, too. Like, But
developing, like you saw Grayson Littleton this year, and I mean the developing young talent coming up, plus a couple additions here and there. I think it'll be an improved room. I think some of the struggles Texas had last year was also with a little bit of the coaching, which the coaching is completely changed in that position group as well.
You also added a corner from Rutgers that you think should contend to start.
Masco, I believe.
Lasco, yeah. I really like Cade Phillips. I thought, his brother played here at A&M before getting injured, or I really was hoping they'd recruit him. I think he could be a star. And Jelani McDonald could be an All-American. So I agree with you on that. When it goes to A&M, I'm starting off with corner for A&M. Des Ricks, he is a 5-star out of high school. It took him a year to kind of get his feet wet here at A&M. He went to Bama, transferred. Going into his third year as a starter, took a big leap last year. I'd say was maybe A&M's most improved player. And then they went and got Ricky Gibson out of Tennessee, much like Texas, looking for a starter in the portal. It's really interesting when I'm looking at these mock drafts right now, Amanda. Jermod McCoy, who started opposite him at Tennessee, top 10 pick projected. And then the backup, who when Ricky Gibson tore his pec in the first game, the guy he had beaten out, who was backing him up, came in, and he's going to be a first rounder now. So I think Ricky Gibson should be a really nice addition. Maybe my outside of Zay Horton, my second favorite portal addition. So I love corner. They've also got some young depth there and a 5-star coming in Brandon Arrington. Second to me is actually safety. So I split the secondary up. They returned both starters as seniors in Dalton Brooks and Marcus Ratcliffe, both third-year starters. Brooks, I thought, really came on as the year progressed. Needs to work on his tackling to become that complete high-round draft pick that he's got potential to be. Bryce Anderson went in the portal, came back, so you've got a veteran presence there. And then they also went and got, I think, a really hard-hitting, sure tackler out of Colorado, Byard, who they needed. They needed that tackling presence, and he'll probably push both starters if they're not getting it done in that regard. So that, and then number one for me, wide receiver, just like you. I mean, we're kind of similar. We both said wide receiver and secondary. Adding Isaiah Horton, you lose, obviously, Concepcion. You've got Horton, Craver, Ashton Bethel-Roman, Terry Bussey, and a slew of young, really talented players, including a couple of 5-star / borderline 5 stars. One signed last year, one signed this year. So receiver is a position. I'd say Aaron Gregory, Jerome Miles, those are really players to watch out of that younger rank in terms of getting some juice from the 2 5-stars there that no one's talking about yet. So we're pretty similar in the strengths. And I know, we both feel good about our quarterbacks.
I want to get your thoughts on. Sorry,
Okay.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this because you mentioned when you're Bryce Anderson going to the portal, then deciding to stay. What's your thought on those? Because I see because Texas has a few that did it as well, and of course you immediately see the comment from rival fan bases. Oh, I thought Sark said that.
Yeah.
He said if you're gone, you're gone. What is your thought on that? I mean, my thought is you have to evolve with the sport at this point. So you got to do whatever you can to, like you said, retain talent.
Yeah. It's selective, right? Like if the player's no good and he tries to come back, or if he is good and you filled his spot. But so it's kind of like
personality problem.
Yeah, is he a personality problem? You let him go. If he's a good kid and you go, hey, I get it, man. You were looking for something more than you had here, but we still need you.
But you're okay with
us.
them returning if it's a fit.
If it's a fit. But I think as a coach, you tell the kids, hey, you're entering at your own risk, man. We're likely to fill your spot. You're probably and you or some of those kids, you tell them probably at that moment, okay, hey, this is fine, but once you go in, you know who it is. If you're Sark, if you're Elko, if you're any of these coaches, Kiffin, Lincoln Wright, whoever, there are ones that you'll say, okay, well, good luck. And there are ones that you say, hey, you kind of do a hard line on and say, hey, if you go in, there's no path back. And there are other ones that you say, hey, we want you, so if you insist on doing this, we're going to fight for you. And then there are some, like I think in the case of Bryce Anderson, I think some of these kids go in there and they don't really see what they were really looking for, and they realize, man, I've got a pretty good situation here.
Maybe they got bad advice from an agent, which is, I feel like how this sport has evolved.
Yeah.
Like extensively is just more of these players have agents, more of them have unqualified agents that aren't giving them good advice or saying that they can get more money than they actually can get. So, I mean, it is what it is, but you have to evolve with the direction the sport's going until the rules change a little bit.
No question about it.
If they change a little bit, we'll see.
Let's talk a little bit. We're getting. I know we're getting a lot of this. We're seeing our friends posting all this stuff. There's a lot of preseason chatter, rankings, top 25s.
Way too early preseason rankings.
Way too early, but it's what
so.
we do. It's what we've got in this sport, and it's what makes college football so fun. So we're going to rip through these. We're not obviously going to go 1 to 16 on all these, but our buddy SEC Mike, who I've now dubbed Longhorn lover, all things burnt orange, SEC Mike. Which
yeah, I figured a lot of the A&M fans would not like a couple of his recent rankings post.
He pushed back. He's denying it. We're going to see it throughout the offseason. We'll be tracking him. I know you gave him a lot of shit last offseason, and we'll see if it flips around where I'm the one having to do it this year. But SEC Mike ranked the top, and maybe Cousin Shane. I don't know if Cousin Shane helped him, but the top coordinators in the SEC in order. And just pull up, I texted it to you, pull up the offensive list, and I just had a couple of thoughts about this.
All right, y'all, if you're looking for a clean energy boost on game day or honestly any day, check out Catalyst Pure Performance Energy. This stuff is built for people who want energy without the junk. We're talking zero sugar, no artificial colors or flavors, no preservatives, and no artificial sweeteners. Catalyst gives you a steady, non-jittery stream of energy thanks to natural nootropics and the same caffeine as a cup of coffee, so you get focus and endurance without the crash. And the flavors, superberry, pomegranate, power, orange dream, citrus spark, cherry, lime charge, and grapefruit, all refreshing, never syrupy. So if you want to fuel your workouts, your late night study sessions, or your Saturday tailgates, grab Catalyst Pure Performance Energy at a store near you or on drinkcatalyst.com. Ignite your performance.
Amanda has recorded this sound. Let's hear it before we talk OCs. Play it. It's loud.
Can you hear it in the mic?
No. Now we can't even hear it in the damn mic.
That's so weird. I don't know. Maybe I'll post a video on Twitter later.
Yeah, it is loud. Now, Ryan Grubb, number 1. Okay, Charlie Weiss, number 2. I would definitely have Weiss ahead of Grubb based on last year, what Weiss did at Ole Miss versus what Grubb did at Alabama. Interesting one here. He's got Buster Faulkner at 3 at Florida, coming over from Georgia Tech. And I'll say this to Aggies. Buster Faulkner is somebody that Mike Elko considered, and he promoted Holman Wiggins instead. It was not right when Buster Faulkner was going to Florida. It's just something to keep in mind when you're talking about these hires of who you think you want versus who the actual coach decides. And time will tell if it's the right move or not. But this is a guy that at least some people have ranked 3rd in the 16-team SEC. Now, here's all I wanted to ask you about. Steve Sarkisian at 6, and Holman Wiggins, he has incomplete because he's being nice, but he basically put him at 16. So A&M, and I get it because Holman's never been a coordinator, never called a play. It's hard to rank him anywhere.
Need some stuff to go off of there.
What I will say, and I guess this is my only takeaway on this, and I want to hear your opinion on Sark. Holman Wiggins better not be at the bottom of that list, or this will be a failed season for A&M, and they will.
That will be a very much so failed season, especially with the wide receivers you're dealing with.
And Steve Sarkisian better not be at number 6 with the players he's got this year. So both these guys need to be way up the list from where they are today. Do you agree with that about Sark? Like, he can't be the 6th best OC in a 16-team SEC this year with Arch, with what they spent for Cam Coleman,
there's
everything.
There's a lot of conversation among the fan base, especially about just not being super happy that Sarkisian hasn't hired an offensive coordinator to call plays. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we saw how things were adjusted end of season last year to where he was doing pretty well as far as the play calling goes.
Yeah.
But you can also, regardless of how awful some of the assessments were, especially with the offensive line in the beginning of the season, and just wasn't really playing to your talents play call wise. Looking at last season, there were some play calls there that lost you the OSU game.
Yeah.
That lost you the SEC championship game. I think he got a little bit smarter with some of his call because he used to just love to go for it on any single play. He relied a little bit more on his kicking team this year, which I think also you have to look at the fact you didn't have Bert Auburn. You had a bit better of a kicker in Mason Shipley this year, or 2025. But yes, I definitely agree with you that both of them, I mean, I don't think Coleman Wiggins will be 16. That would be more than a failed season. I think you would have to go lose at least 6 or 7 games for him to end up at 16, which I just don't see happening. But I guess the unknown portion of it is why he's down there.
And on the defensive side, He's got just want to rankle you a little bit, but I don't think I disagree with him. He's got Brent Venables 1.
Unless he's playing Texas.
Yeah, well, and I think he is. If you hired all these people as DCs, I think he would be one.
Yeah.
But as a head coach, he's certainly not up there, and that's what OU really needs him to be. Interesting for Aggies, he's got DJ Durkin at number 2. DJ Durkin's a guy that Aggies couldn't wait to get out of town along with Jimbo Fisher. I actually I've thought he's always been a really good one. He trained under somebody because Kevin Sumlin, for Aggies and Longhorns interested in this type of stuff, Kevin Sumlin was going to hire DJ Durkin based upon the strongest of recommendations from none other than Will Muschamp years ago. Muschamp wasn't interested in moving. He said, this is the guy you need to hire. It's DJ Durkin, who was his co-DC at Florida. And it was set to happen, and then entered into the mix was John Chavis, LSU, all the fanfare. It was one of the bigger coordinator hires I've covered, and it ended up being a total bust. Kind of cost Sumlin his tenure here. But DJ Durkin at 2. Here's where I'm interested. You got Muschamp at 4, Mike Elko at 5, and Jim Knowles at 8. I'm going to tell you about Jim Knowles. I would flip Muschamp and Elko. I think if this was 8 years ago, I would have Muschamp ahead. I might have Muschamp at 1 or 2 on this list. I have to see it, Amanda, with a couple years off, not really serving in that role at Georgia the last couple seasons, and even being away from coaching this year. I got to see it to see if he can recapture that old form he had at Texas under Mac Brown back in the day, and even early on at Georgia.
Okay.
Is that fair? Do you think? I mean, because I'm comparing him to Elko, to Mike Elko, and his resume as well. It's not like I'm comparing him to some random. Now, the difference is Elko's also
I understand.
head coach.
Yeah, I understand wanting to evaluate based on we don't have any, we don't have a season of Muschamp at Texas yet.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that means I would flip them just because I think Elko had some big red flags as far as his defense went last season, especially with the run defense.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that makes me want to flip them entirely. That's not me speaking negatively on Elko. I understand there's unknowns with Muschamp. But yeah, I don't know if I would flip it's fair to flip them. If you want to flip them, I don't think I would, just based on there's some things Elko still needs to really fix in that defense. They had some really great games. There were some really questionable games at the same time.
All right.
Not questionable games, just questionable outings.
Well, they definitely need to fix the big plays in the running game. That was a killer last year, more so than as much as anything else. I mean, we talked a lot about the turnovers late. I would pay one of those number 1, and number 2, I would say gash plays in the run game, including down there in Austin, and again in the playoff game late with under 4 minutes left. They gave up a 60-yard run.
Fortunately, A&M's offense was able, I don't want to say bail them out, but were able to still outscore whatever the defense gave up in most of those games. Yeah. But at the same time, there should have been some better play in a couple of those games, and there's some holes that need to be addressed going into 2026 if he wants to retain that top 5 ranking of defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and it's, to be fair, and I don't think I'm going to push back on anything you said there, but I think to be fair, it's not even about that top 5 D coordinator ranking for either one of them. It's like if either of these teams can sit there and any of these DCs say, hey, my Aggies or my Longhorns were a top 5 defense in the SEC this year, I think they'll be right there in the playoff field when it's over and done with, because they both have enough on offense that if you're putting a top 5 in the SEC defense, which to me would be at worst a top 20 in college football, that's going to be more than enough with the offensive firepower. Last thing on that, Jim Knowles at 8. It's interesting for us because he's at Tennessee and we both play the Vols. Jim Knowles won a national title a year ago at Ohio State. He's known as being a brilliant DC. He went to Penn State, got caught up in the James Franklin dismissal. They still had a really good defense there this year. That is one of those quiet off-season hires that could make Tennessee more of a problem for both of us than we expect today. And then finally, Pate's ranking. That was the last one I sent you.
Pate's ranking. You also have SEC Mike's football power rankings.
Oh, yeah, the football power rankings in the SEC. How do you feel about that looking at them? I'm already going to push back. I don't think Pete Golding.
I think it's awful.
Yeah, I don't think Pete Golding's going to get it done.
I think one of them I saw that he did, I thought it was a end of season 2026 power ranking. Mm-hmm. If this is a preseason power ranking,
it is.
I don't like it at all.
It is. I'm not even going to look at that bottom half, but I will say for you and I and our constant schedule banter, and that little line that everyone drew last year on the A&M schedule, I'm not saying his are right, but if they were, I look at the right side of this graph and I see the A&M plays no one except they play Arkansas and Kentucky at 15 and 16, and then they play 10.
They'll play South Carolina?
Yeah, they play 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, and 3. So we're not for both
and
teams.
What is Texas plays
1,
3, 5, 6, 7, 11. 10 and 11. And then 15.
Yeah. So
do we play Mississippi State again?
No.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, y'all do.
I think we do.
I think so. So neither team is going to be accused of not having a gauntlet next year. That is one thing we can officially.
We'll see. There will be some people that find a way to.
I just don't think. I mean, yeah, some of these teams won't be as good as we're expecting, but there's no way that either the Aggies or Longhorns are going to be are going to have, especially when you throw in Ohio State for you guys. Aggies play Arizona State. That's not of the level of Notre Dame last year, but yeah, I don't think either of these teams are going to be sitting there going, man, we caught some nice breaks. I disagree the most with actually Ole Miss at 1.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I think my biggest question marks are Ole Miss at number 1. I would love to hear an argument for why someone thinks Oklahoma deserves the 3 spot. Texas A&M, both should be top 5 in my opinion. Mm-hmm. LSU, I would almost even I'd put LSU in the top 5 at this point. I mean, LSU with all the talent that they've acquired should be up there, unless Lane Kiffin just blows it to smithereens somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you think otherwise, but
I just don't trust Ole Miss. I would almost push them out of the top 5.
Was Trinidad given another year?
Not yet, but obviously that's with that he's got them there with that expectation. But I'm just telling you, I just don't think Pete Golding. I love what he did, in the situation they were in, but I just don't think over the long haul, meaning this offseason into the season and throughout a 12-game regular season, I just don't think he's that guy, especially without Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays. That's just
what would be your ranking?
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's 1 for me.
Georgia, Texas, and then I'd say A&M or OU. I was
going to say A&M or LSU.
And then LSU. I'd put LSU behind that group. OU I'm scared of, though, because of Mateer. I just get scared of picking them with him. I still see people.
I mean, it's okay. If you beat him, it's because he had a broken thumb over a year ago.
That's true.
If they beat you, it's because he's a Heisman contending quarterback.
That is the damn truth.
That's the king of the goalpost moves when it comes to Mateer was his thumb irritated him all year.
And then finally we've got Pate. Yeah, OU fans took a page out of my book that week, didn't they? And the rest of the season.
But he's injured when he is literally saying it wasn't because of his thumb. Maybe take what your quarterback's saying at face value.
He had plenty of games after that thumb was better that didn't impress me. And you know me. He had them before he got hurt that I was questioning.
Yeah, I think we both were questioning it before he got hurt.
I'm looking at Pate's list. Notre Dame 1. A lot of belief in C.J. Carr there.
Yeah.
Your Longhorns at 2. My Aggies at 8. We just mentioned OU there at 9. So Pate's SEC list would go Texas, then Georgia, then A&M, then OU, then LSU.
I don't want Pate's rat poison if that's his SEC list.
He does. And I do love the fact that he's got Tech outside the top 10 at 12.
Yeah, I mean the cacti will be most irritated in his comments on this one.
And he agrees with us where he's got Ole Miss at 16, which would put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6th, 7th in the SEC.
Yeah, the difference in these lists is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and look, I love their content, and I don't think anybody does a better job than Josh Pate, but I disagree with Texas at 2, not by a lot. I think I would put Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, and Texas 4. Texas
Who's
3,
your one?
I wouldn't argue. I'll go, timeout.
Like those numbers.
I was about to say Notre Dame, and I don't know if I would put them number one.
You're saying Notre Dame should be number 1.
I don't know if I'd have Indiana 3. I know what a great job Signetti's done. I know what they've done in the portal. I know what Josh Hoover did at TCU. But
I think they should stay in the top 5.
No, yeah, I wouldn't argue you.
I think you need to believe them until you're proven otherwise.
I might go Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Texas 3, Notre Dame 4, Indiana 5. That might be mine.
Yeah.
Miami. I think Miami would have an argument for being in that top. I like what they did at quarterback with Darian Mensah. They seem to have figured out how to just roll through quarterbacks there. But
that's interesting. You have Texas up there and not Georgia, but Georgia's higher in your SEC rankings.
I love the way you say that. You know what I should just say? I should just go, that's right. It is very interesting.
I mean, I'm just...
You
just said it. I just wanted to point it out. Maybe you confused yourself.
You're like 3 more of these from me, just like... Everyone's going to be right. You want
to change your list? You can change your list.
The Longhorns are like, she's going to make him quit the show with these clips.
These are the way too early lists, so you can still change it.
Okay. I'm not going to let you make me put Texas to win the SEC in this exact moment.
I'm not trying to make you put Texas to win the SEC. Just if you wanted to put Georgia in that top 5, or maybe in like the number 3 spot in Texas and number 4, make it make a little more sense.
I want to move.
We're giving you an opportunity here.
No, because now it's just, sure, we'll put Georgia. Okay, so Georgia's going into the top. I hate you. I do. I hate you right now. I hate you right now. Where are we going next? We went through our list. Okay, let's talk. I might hate you more after this one, too. Let's talk Arch Manning, because here's the deal.
I'm going to pull out my notes 1 second.
Okay, because... As you pull up your notes, a lot of people, they've been seeing our clips on the Marcel debate, and a couple weeks ago we were going at it, and I said, let me do a little research, because I think in the numbers and some of this stuff, I think I'm more right about Marcel than you were, and we had that debate last week, and I think you're going to put out one more of those clips tonight to kind of tease this, because it goes out tomorrow. Not my best moment on here. I do still stand with Marcel, and you're certainly not a Marcel hater. We've established that. But people were saying, hey, why don't y'all do this about Arch? I said, we pretty much have. We did it at the very end of the Texas season, which was, or regular season, which was a game before. We've also
done this after every game.
Yeah, we've had some.
A lot of the comments were like, "Oh, but Arch had those bad games. You ignore his bad." No. We hashed those out pretty heavily. Yeah. It was pretty hard on Arch for his missteps.
What happened with Arch that was so funny to me was when he was playing poorly, and a lot of it we'll talk about had to do with the O-line. We all know that. But when it was going so badly for him, some of these national people, and it wasn't just the Athletic, they went so far the other way.
No one was letting him off.
From what they were saying during the offseason, that it made even me sit here and go, you guys are being idiots. Let this guy develop, and he's already showing signs in that Florida game, took a beating. It's just calm the hell down.
And other quarterbacks had more drastic fall-offs this season, but you didn't see the national media talking about how atrocious Cade Klubnik was, or how much of a disappointment Nussmeier was, or Sellers, or Lagway or any of these quarterbacks.
That
But
is so true, Amanda.
the Manning name gets the clicks, so that just comes with the territory, which I'm sure he understands at this point in his life. And he tried to tell him at the beginning, "Hey, don't put me on this pedestal until I prove I deserve being there."
So they wanted me to not be kicked around and say, flip it around on her, damn it. So now we're going to talk Arch, and we're going to talk about where is he at as we enter this offseason. That I know there's some Longhorns that think he'll stay a whole nother year. I'm presuming this will be his final year in Austin and, then off to the NFL. So let's talk about our thoughts on Arch Madness as we enter 2026. I'll let you kick it off. And I'll start by saying, where I stand on this thing. I think the way he was trending towards the end of the year, I pushed way back last year about people putting him in their top of mind in their Heisman list. I thought it was completely overboard and cart ahead of the horse. Totally different song and dance from me this year. I think if you're going to put him in your top 5, you're not going to really hear me push back or debate it. I think he finished the season really strongly. I will say I don't think he's like this sure thing, and we'll go into it from there. Sure thing to be like playoff run, New York City Heisman. That's what I mean by that. But I'll let you take it from there.
I mean, I'd love to hear your explanation as to why you don't think so.
Okay.
Primarily from the standpoint of looking at the other quarterbacks in the college football field. Who else is in that top 5 for the Heisman list that's a quarterback? Who else is up there in contention with who you think could be trending to be on that level? And I'm not going to say is on that level, but be trending in the direction to be in that level. And I have a bunch of stats about Arch's end of the season, and I think, and I have the direct comparisons to Marcel in the same time period, if you want to hear those.
I'd love it. But yes, to answer, yes, I would love to hear those. I'll start by saying, again, like I could see him winning it. I could see him in New York. I could see him just missing out, down the stretch or something. But I don't think it's a sure thing. You asked me other quarterbacks around college football.
But where are your concerns? You're saying, I don't think it's a sure thing. I don't think all this, but like, where are your points of concern?
I think, I still want to see more accuracy in as a passer. I even go back to that A&M game. I think, his biggest pass play was insanely inaccurate, and Wingo made a great catch. I don't want to put too much on one pass, but my point is, I do think he still needs to make strides in terms of his accuracy as a passer.
You think Marcel's a more accurate passer?
I mean, not at the end of the season. But I think both of them, you could say accuracy is an issue. I wouldn't say he's a more accurate passer, no, but I don't think it's not even worth talking about.
Okay. Here, hold on one second.
Yeah, I was about to say, what does that say?
Well, I have some extended stats from that. I did want to look up the Texas A&M game stats, because that's an interesting point. Yeah, I will say both of these quarterbacks benefited from wide receivers bailing them out in a couple instances. And I mean, Marcel definitely got bailed out a good amount as well.
Yeah,
because he had fantastic wide receivers throwing to. Let's go to the game log. Let's see. I couldn't remember what Arch's longest passing play was at A&M.
Oh, I could tell you. It was definitely the one to Andrews where
54.
That was one too. I mean, it's not
was it runs after carry, or was it?
Yeah, that was a A&M didn't cover him, which is again, it's no fault of Andrews or Arch, but they didn't cover him. It was 54. That one wasn't like
okay. I'll go into the stats then if we want to.
Yes, let's do that, because You asked me too which quarter. All right, I'll save the part of like which quarterbacks, but yeah, if you're accuracy wise or stat wise, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I think I've said this a couple times, but if you watch the Texas games closely, a lot of Arch's passes were accurate and were in the hands of receivers, and they were dropped because of an inexperienced receiving core. Ryan Wingo had some very youthful mistakes that I, for his sake, hope he rectifies.
Yeah.
Park Livingston was very green, had some very youthful mistakes that I hope he does not rectify. You know what I mean?
At least not in September or early October, my bad.
Yeah. So I looked up the adjusted completion percentages because I feel like that gives you a better indication of how the quarterback themselves were actually playing. Versus, it's a team sport regardless. You have to have all the pieces there that are working correctly. But Arch's in his final 8 games of the year, because that's when we're talking about the trajectory here.
Sure.
His adjusted completion percentage was 75.4%. I think the actual completion percentage was closer to 60. 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 251.5 yards per game on average, 17 dropped passes.
Okay.
Marcel in that same time span, and this is kind of crazy, just like the adjusted completion percentage between the two of them. 75.3, so 0.1 difference. Arch is 0.1 better than Marcel in that category. So basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
14 touchdowns, Arch had 15. Biggest difference here. Marcel, 9 interceptions, Arch 2.
Yeah. So
that's pretty drastic.
Yeah.
That's the only really drastic difference here. Then Arch, 251.5 yards per game. Marcel, 237.5 passing yards per game.
Okay.
And then Marcel also had 17 dropped passes. So it's kind of crazy how drastically similar they are.
Pretty interesting.
And then if we want to look at rushing as well, our banging is back.
Don't you dare. Don't you do it.
I see Grant's
You're
feet.
on a roll.
I see Grant's feet under the door over here of him like walking over and there he goes banging. I don't know if you can hear that. A lot of fun this show.
You're on a roll. Do not get distracted. You're talking about rushing now, rushing yards.
Okay, rushing yards. Arch had more touchdowns, 5 to 4 compared to Marcel, less fumbles, 2 compared to 3, a higher yards per attempt, 7.1 to 6.5. And then we can also look into, because I know one of the other comments that people love to use is the slant passes and the yards after carry, all of that jazz.
Screen merchant is what Twitter people like to say.
So passes greater than 10 yards downfield from week 7 to the end of the year. Arch had a 51.6 completion percentage, 1,047 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. Marcel had a 45.2 completion percentage, 849 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions.
Wow.
So Arch was, I'm not going to say drastically more accurate because 6 percentage points isn't a massive difference, but much smarter decisions as far as where he's putting the ball in danger when it goes downfield. So there's my statistics for you.
Yeah.
If I want to do the direct comparison there.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
It is crazy how similar they were, just points off in a bunch of those different categories.
And it kind of ties in.
One was getting a Heisman campaign launched for them.
Well, but listen, one got one launched for him before he ever even threw one of those passes.
That was not Texas launching a Heisman campaign for him.
Well, I don't think A&M did anything wrong with launching when they did. I think they probably could have done it a couple weeks earlier. I
think they probably should have done it a couple weeks earlier, and then it wouldn't have been as the next week doesn't look as good.
And I'll be honest with you,
not next week, next 2 weeks.
I don't know if the pressure got to him there. I'm convinced, Amanda. And your stats are really interesting because, and we got to go back into the Arch thing. But if we're doing the Arch Marcel, I think it's really interesting the interceptions were the one giant difference. And that was like, say in the game in Austin, say Marcel Reed throws 0 interceptions and Arch Manning throws 2. Then A&M wins that game. But it was the other way around, and one guy
What ifs? I mean, A&M wins every hypothetical game that you want them to win.
You love saying that, but you understand what I'm saying. The interceptions have been the difference, and we talked about that ever since kind of the Miami game, and it's just that statistical comparison really hammers it home because one guy was not throwing interceptions for a while in Marcel, and that Heisman stock, he was in the conversation, and then all of a sudden he did. And the other guy down the stretch was not and went 7-1 or whatever in their last 8 games. And he goes into the offseason with the buzz, the hype, the Heisman talk. But so I think that's a.
I mean, even you said that you thought Arch would get better. Arch would improve.
Absolutely. And I think there's no question he has. I just think if I'm taking a look at it and I'm like, okay, you asked for who are some other quarterbacks. I think Julian Sayin. I think Dante Moore. Those are guys. I'm trying to think in the SEC. Trinidad Chambliss, and of course Arch. If he's there, I would put an asterisk. I would say Sam Levitt in Lane Kiffin's offense with those weapons at LSU. I would say potentially Sorsby at Tech. I don't think if you took that offense and put it in the SEC, he's a Heisman contender. But I think against the schedule and the defenses they're going to play out there in Lubbock,
he'll look like the Heisman winner.
Yeah, I think he's going to put up,
or at least he should be with the schedule that they get.
So I just think what you said too is you've kind of, everyone talks about Marcel's accuracy. My point of Marcel's got to get more accurate, and I think your numbers kind of showed too. Whereas Arch does a much better job in the second half of the season protecting the football, he too needs to work on.
Not even in the second half of the season, the entire season.
Yeah.
That is why the game wasn't lost at Kentucky or Mississippi State.
True.
Because despite getting his brains blown out because the O-line was playing atrocious in a lot of these games, he somehow managed to hang on to that football when he was getting hit.
He has.
Otherwise, it could have been a lot more hang on to it or get rid of it in a responsible way, which that's very, very important when it comes to winning those games that are closer than they should be versus losing them.
Make no mistake, we like to give each other shit. I was doing it to you in season while you guys were barely beating Kentucky and Mississippi State. You've been doing it to me, and the Aggies are begging me to fight back against you. And every time you say Arkansas or South Carolina, say Kentucky or Mississippi State, and I'm like, yeah. And I was on her ass mid-season about those games and those performances.
You know what the difference is?
What?
I'm honest. Not that you're being dishonest.
Yeah.
It's almost you're looking for the silver lining in every single thing. Whereas I'm a little bit more of a this cannot happen. You need to look at all these bad things, or the bad things are going to continue to happen. You got to hold the feet to the fire if you want to win football games. And like the Kentucky game performance was absolutely unacceptable. Arch played like crap. He threw plenty of those dirt balls that we love, but you can't ignore the other factors that went into Arch playing like crap as well, which was his dismal offensive line with a offensive lineman that got a 0 PFF rating, which if you didn't know it was possible, it is.
I'll say this, and definitely if we were like in a cop movie and we were like buddy cops, we would definitely have to do the bad cop, good cop routine, and we all know who
Billy's
it would be.
Like, well... Did you see that great pass downfield? Yeah, ignore that interception.
No, you'd be yelling and screaming and yelling at him and lecturing him and da da da.
Did you see that second half? The first half you don't even need to remember that one.
I swear to God, dude. Look, my point, bad cop, is this. Both these quarterbacks are going to be so much better this year because of the games like Arkansas, South Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi State.
And they need to be.
Yeah, and they need to be, but you're going to run into those games no matter how good either of our teams are, where it's like
got Florida again this year.
Look up, you look up and you go, oh shit, we're in a shootout. And both these quarterbacks go, okay, I know how to do this. And then, oh crap, we're playing bad and we're in an unexpected struggle. And they go, okay, we've done this before too. So I think the experience, and that's why it's a short list. I get the end of season. So if I'm looking at top 5 Heisman people, I'd be fine to see, Arch Manning on it. And if you're extending that out to top 10, I'd be fine to see Marcel certainly in that kind of top 15 going into this season. Because they both had.
I do think, with the national rankings, I think Marcel will suffer from just
recency
the
bias,
memory, recency. But
not bias,
not bias, just recent memory. Yeah, just trajectory.
The lasting impression, the last time you saw that. So
because you should be improving throughout the season, and if you're not, that can make some people concerned, some people including me.
Is there anything else you have on Arch? Because I do think so. What's your concern with him? Or do you just think
I think my concern is very similar to what I said about Marcel last year, which is he is going to be as good as the tools around him, or he is going to be as successful as the tools around him. I think he's going to be successful, period, but is he going to be that pinnacle?
Yeah.
And it's going to hinge on, did Texas address the issues that were prolific in the loss against Ohio State, the loss to Florida, the loss to Georgia, and the tight games against Mississippi State and Kentucky? Did they address those issues on the offensive line? Did they get him wide receiver options that are hanging on to the ball? Did they improve the running back room to where it contributes to more than 3 games in the season? He's going to be as good as, I think Arch Manning is going to be Arch Manning. Arch Manning did a lot this year that made Texas win football games that they would have otherwise lost. And
sure.
I think Texas fans need to be pretty grateful for that factor, because a lot of other quarterbacks, they're turning over the ball. They're not quite as willing to take the hits in the pocket that Arch did. I think he's going to be as good as how Texas fixed the issues that they saw last year. The main issue, I think, PTSD-wise, is the offensive line, which you really learn how important an offensive line is when you don't have them. It's one of those position groups that you really don't want to notice.
Can I say something here?
And it's a position group Texas didn't notice in 2024 because it was pretty good.
For sure. And I also think it needs to be noted when you are evaluating – I don't mean you. I mean Aggies who are doing this way more than you are, because we're going to spend a whole offseason doing it. When you're evaluating Marcel Reed, part of what happened is that O-line was kind of rolling through the season. He didn't get touched at Notre Dame, like as far as sacks go. He didn't get sacked one time in that game. When they played South Carolina and Dylan Stewart, who's going to be a top 3 pick in next year's NFL draft, he was under heavy pressure when he played in Austin.
Got sacked twice against, sorry, I have his page pulled up right now, so I can just tell you the numbers. He got sacked twice at South Carolina, 4 times at Auburn, which they have a very good
And that was
defense.
a bad game for him.
Yeah. Miami. That's weird. We have, sorry, Grant's going upstairs to bang on the door for the people banging on our roof.
Good.
And then Miami sacked 7 times. So that Miami defense really got through that. Texas offensive line played pretty fantastic against A&M, but they only sacked him once. So they still did protect him pretty well in that
They only sacked Marcel once in that game. Mm-hmm. Interesting. But yeah, like the A&M offensive line's worst, in my opinion, their worst 4 games were the ones you just mentioned, were Auburn, Miami especially, who they kind of wrecked everybody they played down the stretch. Auburn, Miami, South Carolina for that half, which was a dominant half by them, and Texas. And so the O-line, while they weren't playing like Texas's O-line was early in the year, they certainly took it on the chin those last 3 games, and I think that was a big part of Marcel's struggles. So we'll get into this in a second, because our next topic is going to include my commentary on the A&M O-line. Let's go. We're going to wrap the show up quickly here But we got a
Oh,
couple
that's
things.
shocking. Sorry, I wanted to look at Arch's to compare A&M game. Arch was shocked. Can't talk.
Oh, I thought you
Arch
said
was
me.
sacked
I thought you were
twice
going to say
against
me
A&M.
wanting to wrap it up was shocking.
No, you're good. Yeah, wrap it up with a shot.
Arch was sacked twice in that one. I think both in the first half. Yeah, and then Marcel once.
And against Vandy 3 times. He was sacked 6 times against Florida. So there's your indication of how that O-line was playing against Florida.
Yeah.
Because I don't, if you go back and watch the show we did after that game, I think you'll hear me very much explain that me personally, and if you watch the game, Arch was not the problem in that game. It was the offensive line playing atrociously, the defense, the secondary not doing any favors for Arch trying to rally at the end of the game. So, and numbers, they prove it. Mississippi State sacked 5 times. Kentucky sacked 3 times.
Both these teams have a massive swing in their season. I think more so than most. Everybody can say this, but I think more so than most of the contenders, A&M and Texas, how those offensive lines perform, like evolve and come together, it's going to go a long way towards determining, and it's a fine line, right? Playoff, no playoff. And I know that's the goal for both, and period. Like, get to 10-2 and get in there. Obviously, you want to win all of them. You want better seeding or whatever. But, I mean, for either of those teams to get there, Amanda, I think there's no world we live in where we say, oh, it was an average offensive line. I think both of these football teams need to be able to say, we had a terrific O-line this year, or a top 5 in the SEC.
I think we just need a good enough offensive line.
Good offensive line, yep.
A good enough offensive line where you're not getting sacked 4 times a game, good enough offensive line.
Yeah, and they both have questions. So let's talk the next thing. It's our new thing we're saying, 3 hits and a miss.
Yes.
That we're going to say 3 things we really think we either know or that we feel confident we're going to hit on. And then 1 thing that we either feel less confident or we think everyone's going to say and miss on. So do you want to start us off, or do you want me to here? Because I texted you mine earlier.
Oh, I think I missed them in your checks.
Okay,
I can start off with mine. I think, we just got done yapping about this, so my point's been made here, but I think Arch continues his upswing. I think he's had his year to get comfortable with being a starter. Marcel did benefit from having a lot more starting time under his belt in 2024. Arch was thrown into the fire at the OSU game and had some serious growing pains, but managed to be you got to commend the kid on how resilient he was, especially like that Athletic article comes out after the Florida game to go into Red River and win like they did.
Yeah, that was a season turner for him and the team, no doubt.
Yeah, the resiliency, I mean, I think we've seen just kind of how good he can be, how you want a quarterback that's not going to get mentally rattled.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that with him thus far.
All right.
And then we also did just start talking about this. Wait, do you want me to just go through all 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Second, I think the offensive line takes a step forward. We were just talking about this with new additions and just lessons learned on what you need to see there to have a successful offensive line. And the main point being you're returning more than you were the previous year. You're not going to be struggling to fill 4 holes versus 2. Third, Colin Simmons leads the nation in sacks. I think this will be, I would say this will be his year, but last year was a pretty dang good season for Colin Simmons as well. He led the SEC in sacks.
He stole it. He stole it in the bowl game.
Stole it at the last minute. He felt snubbed, so he had to go and steal that.
Yeah.
But I think he is going to be one that is feared among SEC offenses. The miss, I think it's a miss to put Texas at preseason number 1 because not for the reason that I just do not want that rat poison ranking again, that bad luck. It is a bad luck ranking to be number 1 in the preseason. And I don't think Arch should be the number one in the Heisman race either. I think he still has a little bit to prove. I think Texas needs to prove that they have added in the position groups that they need to in order to make Arch successful enough to win the Heisman. But I do think he should be in that top 5 range.
So essentially, we went through all of that up there where you
literally, I mean,
put me on the spot.
We literally,
you put me on the stand. You asked me, and then you agreed with me on Arch. Like,
well, I never said I disagreed with you on Arch not being number one in the Heisman.
No, I'm saying you agreed with me that he's still got some improvement to do in some areas, and
I mean, and I think the improvement will be. Of course, they all have improvement to do. I just thought he needed. You have improvement to do at quarterback until you're Tom Brady in the NFL.
That's true. I just think he needs to be a little more accurate in maybe it's the short stuff more so, but just a little more accurate in order for that offense to be what I think it could be.
And I hope with that accuracy, I think he needs some better chemistry with his receivers than he had last year.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's something that's rectified going into.
And by the way, a lot of that will come from as a returning starter. I think you have a little more juice in the offseason to just kind of demand like, hey guys, we're going to be out here every day voluntarily, and we're going to do it till the sun goes down. That's what those veteran QBs, like both of these guys, can and need to do. And I think they both have that mentality. Mine are this. The 3 things I know or think I know or that I call truths. I think the Aggies are going to go as far as Marcel Reed and Holman Wiggins take them offensively. I mean,
there's so many unknowns with Holman Wiggins, which
total unknown.
You expressed your concerns in that category, but you kind of have to trust Elko until he proves you otherwise.
And there are a lot of young, inexperienced OCs that burst onto the scene and make a big name for themselves. But that's just the way this season is set up. That's what they're going to need Holman Wiggins to be. And again, you don't know it till you see it. So it's a big question mark. But I do think if they are a team that ends up, for them to get there, Holman's got to be a hit in year one. And he and the new quarterback's coach, they've got to get the most out of Marcel. And if Marcel Reed's a star, this team's in the playoffs. That's just my opinion there. And then my second one is I don't think replacing the pass rush is going to be easy for this Aggie team, and that will be a real question mark this year. They lost Cassius Howell, who was right there in the SEC sack lead, like we just said, until the Texas finished their bowl game. I think that's when Simmons passed him, so he was among the national leaders in sacks. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. They lost him to the NFL. A year ago, they lost a first and 2 second-rounders on the D-line, and I felt good about their pass rush. I said it all offseason. They were among the best in the country at getting to the quarterback. This year, I've got more concern than I did last offseason because I think Cassius was special in that regard. And I also think that they had some interior guys that could get after it, like Regis, Onyedem, Deion Hayes did some things. So remember these names, Aggies. Marco Jones, TJ Searcy, and Anto Saka, who they got from Northwestern. They need those 3 guys to help fill that void. And so that's one of the things I'm really going to be watching most this spring. Number 3 thing I'm sure of, and I've looked this up, forget about if 1 or 2 teams are worse than we think, like happened last year for A&M, the teams they played. I have zero doubt Texas A&M's schedule this year will be the toughest they've faced since 2019. And I have said in the last few years, last 3 seasons at least, the Aggies have been catching favorable SEC schedules. As much as I've been on your ass, Amanda, about Texas' schedule a couple years ago, and you return the favor this year, I have stated for 3 years in a row now at least that I think A&M's been catching some pretty favorable draws.
I don't know. In the preseason, you said that Texas A&M had a pretty difficult schedule. But of course, I'm going to give you the benefit of nobody knew how bad some of those teams would end up being.
You're probably right. This summer, I think I probably did.
I mean, I thought Texas A&M's schedule was pretty difficult going into the season, but it ended up, the more you know.
But I admit it now, right? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wasn't the only one the thing that
that's
really,
what I said. Even I thought it was a difficult schedule.
And the thing that
or a
really,
more difficult schedule going.
The teams that really killed the A&M schedule this past year were, if you think about the teams that everyone was overhyping, and I'm glad the Aggies weren't one of them. It was Florida and Lagway. It was LSU and Nussmeier. It was South Carolina and Sellers, and it was Auburn and, let's just say, Hugh Freeze. I don't even want to blame Jackson Arnold. So, yeah, there were, when you have 4 teams on your schedule that turned out to be grossly overhyped and 4 quarterbacks that turned out to be grossly overhyped, sign me up. I know your fans and my fans are both hoping they're able to say that again this year, because if they do, I think you'll see maroon and white and burnt orange in the playoffs. And then finally, my myth. I think everyone's going to think this A&M O-line is going to take a big step back.
Not your myth, it's your miss.
My miss, where I think people are missing.
Weren't we going to do, what was it, something?
Fade,
fade?
Better fade?
I don't know. I came up with this great concept and then just completely forgot what it was.
What I think that my miss, I think people are going to miss and think this O-line is going to take a big step back. I think they've got enough on campus. And they return only 1 starter, but they went out and got 4 SEC starters. And in particular, I'd say keep an eye on the tackle position, where I think A&M is going to be vastly improved with Wilkin Formby from Alabama and Tyree Adams from LSU. Watch that. And Amanda, did you just say we have an update
of what's going on upstairs? Apparently, there is a backed up pipe that they are having to wire through. So
Jesus. So plumbing
I guess
issues
that's
in the
loud.
building. So you better.
Yeah, I guess I would rather there not be a flood above my apartment.
That's what I was about to say. You better watch out that on air we don't have the whole ceiling come down on you, because I wouldn't laugh, but I'm sure the rest of the country would, because that would be a hell of a clip.
I mean,
watch as podcast.
At that point, you just kind of have to laugh, honestly.
I would make sure y'all were okay first, and the cats were okay.
I mean,
everyone else would laugh.
Concerned about the cats never coming out into the living room of the apartment again at the
So O-line, I think the O-line, I think Elko kind of monitored what happened to teams like Texas, and not just them, but other teams that kind of depended on what was on campus, and said, you know what, we got to go get portal guys, and if these younger guys beat them out, great, but we're going out and getting insurance policies and proven SEC starters. Basketball, we're going to run through real quick. Aggies this week, they went on the road. They beat Georgia, a ranked team. Texas beat them earlier this year. Went on the road, beat them by 15. Went on a 20-0 run, Amanda, to open the game, 22-2.
That's crazy.
A nice road win. And the Aggies, man, in year 1 under Bucky were picked like
looking good.
14th out of the 16-team SEC, I think. And they're 7-1 and in first place.
They were ranked 14th going into the season?
Yeah, they had when Bucky took the job late, mind you, Texas A&M had 1 player on their roster. Buzz Williams left them with 1 player. And
that's a good story.
Yeah, it's a great story, and he deserves it. And I'm just telling you, as someone that can watch and appreciate, coaches at other schools, like what Vic Schaefer's doing at Texas right now. A&M's got a couple of those, and when you look at Bucky McMillan and Jamie Morrison, who just won the Natty in volleyball, there's just something about them. And not to say that A&M's just going to roll the rest of the way, but to be at 7-1 and leading the league is borderline shocking. And away from home, they've beaten Texas, they've beaten Georgia, who was ranked when they beat them, and they've beaten Auburn, it's a very tough place to play. Texas lost a close one to Auburn this past week. So, and also, their 1 loss was double overtime at Tennessee. So it's a great story. This week is massive for A&M. I don't know if you paid attention, but they're at Alabama. And then on Saturday, they play host to the defending national champs in Florida that could be for first place in the SEC. So a busy week. And by the way, I know you don't follow it because you guys only follow it. And I'm going to tell you this. I was discussing this the other day with somebody. I need to find the text exchange between me, you, and Peyton from a year ago when Texas A&M was beating Texas in basketball by like 25 points. And y'all did the whole, yeah, we know we suck. We're not good. And then by the end of the game when the Longhorns won, you know those win probability charts? You know how they show them on Twitter? Like,
honestly, I still don't even think I watched it yet. I watched the game.
You didn't.
It gave me, like, basketball just kind of gives me anxiety. So
yeah, so y'all,
like,
but y'all were like super quiet.
But at the same time,
we suck. We're no good.
I'm not a men's basketball girl until March Madness.
And then as it started trending your way, like the volume of shit talking in the text went up and up.
Well, that's just because it's you, and we're given an opportunity to shit talk. We're going to take it.
That is fair. That is so damn true. But
and
anyway,
you would do the same thing if you weren't watching a game.
But to tell you, I absolutely would. But to tell you, I am a huge basketball fan, and so I'm following everybody.
I like going to the games, I think, more than I do like watching them on TV.
The Longhorns, in year one under Sean Miller, have a very real chance to go to the tournament. I think they're right now. I saw they're right on inside the right side of the tournament right now, and they've got some nice wins. So
they are, yeah, they have some good wins. They have a couple curious losses, and then it's just kind of the consistency that I think they're looking to nail down at this point. But yeah, I mean, they beat at least one rival thus far. So
well, that's what I was about to say, and we're going into one of our final two segments here. They beat a rival Saturday up in Norman, right? They went up and beat Oklahoma,
and so did women.
Then the next day, it was a heated game. I saw where Schaefer had to be kind of held back at one point. I need to
go watch those highlights again.
They beat Oklahoma, who, by the way, like a week ago beat South Carolina, which was a massive win for that program. Yeah. So my thing is, I'm starting to realize this as I sit on the outside of this rivalry looking in. OU has a Texas Longhorn problem across the board.
Yeah,
like you can talk about the Aggies and Longhorns in football the last 2 years, and you have all the bragging rights and that comes with that. And God
we
knows,
also had that overall trophy last year. So
you had the overall, but also like
it's very even this year. Though
basketball's been a battle the last couple of years. Baseball, you guys got the sweep last year, all 3 one-run games. Prior to that, when Slosh was here, he had kind of been kicking Texas's ass. Volleyball had a split this year, and the Aggies won it. Texas won it a couple of years ago. Softball, I mean, it is a rivalry across the board. Man, I'm not seeing that much of it when it comes to the Horns and Sooners.
I think A&M is way better at a lot of the other sports than OU is right now.
Yeah,
I mean, exception softball's up there for OU.
For
as well, obviously.
And that's the other thing. Texas is even with that national title last year, they've even been able to say, hey, we took your pride and joy from you.
They dethroned the queens of the softball world.
Football, basketball. I mean, OU's basketball coach, who, by the way, used to be...
At least y'all scored a touchdown against Texas this year.
It's true.
You did more than OU
2 of them.
Can say they've done in the last 2 years.
Look, OU's... Porter Mosier, long-time or former assistant here at A&M, he has like 1-7, 1-8 against Texas. That's going to get him fired. Men's basketball, you got him on the women's side, you got him on baseball, and then you're getting him. You're also going to get you beat him in football, like you said. They haven't scored a touchdown in 2 years, so it is a real problem for OU right now.
And you know what? I had a lot of pain because of OU athletics when I was in college. So,
well, the tide has turned.
A better fan base.
And last but not least, what do you have this week on moving goalposts? So the funny exchange this week was you were saying, somebody brought up like Vince Young against A&M back in 2005.
Yeah. Okay. I was a couple wine glasses deep when I tweeted this out. This was one I was in Fredericksburg this weekend. I think I mentioned that on the show last week.
Yeah.
So I just opened Twitter once, saw this, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to shoot something out. And then I put away my phone for a while.
Somebody said, imagine they were comparing Vince Young's stats at Kyle Field in 2005. And
they had conveniently cut off the final score of the game.
Yeah, and said, imagine trying to brag about a loss, which, by the way, I was at that game. It was one of my because they lost one of my most entertaining Aggie Longhorn games. Will Muschamp trying to defend Stephen McGee, who sits here at this desk every week, on the option. So it was a wild one in that game, but Texas won. And I said, I was looking at Vince's stat line that he did post, Catarano here, 13 of 24, under 200 yards, a touchdown and a pick, and jokingly said, you'd be all over Marcel Reed for that stat line, though, win or lose. He only completed 13 of passes. And
I never talked about his completion percentage like that.
Didn't even throw for 200 yards.
Am I a granny now?
And yes.
That's you.
Yes.
Mr. having to look at his phone right here.
And you said, I mean, if he had won, which he didn't against Texas both times. So, and I said, hopefully the third time is a charm. I don't want to imagine what it'd be like to lose again. I said my mistake was say to lose one at Kyle Field, and then you fired back with, you don't have to imagine, you know the feeling, and that's when your people pounced.
I just I like to put one or two quick replies in and then let the followers do the rest.
This is where I think you were several wines in. This is where I think maybe Fredericksburg got to you.
What time was the tweet at?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the exact. Oh, it was at 9 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah.
And boy, that was after all the wineries were closed. I think we were at dinner, actually.
I said we were talking, I think it was Joy was getting into it. She said, when are you going to stop hanging your hat on regular season wins? Just let the cups y'all print out speak for themselves, which was pretty funny. And then you chimed in, gassing her up. And I said, we were going back and forth anyway. And I ended up with, you're right, you won't find any trophies here yet. Because you were talking about, she's talking about football. You said she's talking about football. And I don't know if you're not sure, but you don't get a trophy for most of the game, well, most of your conference games. And I said, you're right. You won't find any trophies here yet. And your reply just threw me completely off in your wine state.
Yeah, you don't know what I was saying at first.
You quote tweet it and you go, would quote tweet and go, would have to waterboard that out of me, which is graphic enough. We're talking about like war criminals here. Waterboard it out of you. And I'm like, what would you have?
I don't even know that I don't have any trophies.
Oh, I was like, I don't even know what she's talking about.
We don't have any trophies yet. I would never say that.
Oh, yeah. Well, nobody really caught that because it does seem like something that like everybody would make fun of because, the whole Hall of Champions thing. But yeah, yet. I meant that, yet. They're coming.
Yeah,
coming.
You'll get them one day. You got it, buddy.
Okay, that's the end of the show. Show's over. I don't hope your roof caves in, but I hope that noise goes on for at least another couple hours. Sorry, Grant. That's strictly based on her right here.
It did end like 30 minutes ago.
I hope it starts up again. I might have to have poor Cade, but I may have to have him put together a greatest hits of
nice
you being completely distracted.
Tripping on the ceiling.
By the ceiling. All right, we'll do it again next week, Amanda. I'm Billy.
I'm Amanda.
And we're moving goalposts.
Oh, moving goalposts.
Hopefully not moving your ceiling.